Good morning, my name's Vinnie and I'm one of the instructors here at Our Lady of Presentation Art Center. And today we're going to make this little spring table centerpiece. As you can see, I have it on a tray. You don't have to have it on a tray, but I thought the tray kind of finishes off, and I'm going to actually whitewash that. So I would suggest if you want a tray, the first thing you do is get your tray so that you can cut the size of the foam to fit it appropriately. So the first thing I did, my tray, and through with this item, just you can improvise. You don't have to use what I'm using, just something that suits your needs. So what I got is a sign from Hobby Lobby, and I just cut the beads off of it to make my tray. I am intending to whitewash this tray. You can paint it any color you want. It doesn't have to be whitewashed, but anyway. So the next thing I'm going to use is floral foam. And I actually just kind of take my floral foam and put it together and see about what size I want it. So I'm going to cut this one just a little bit shorter than the original one. So I got a handy old kitchen knife, and I just kind of make a little slit where I would like for the foam to be cut. And I take the foam and cut it as evenly as you can with the knife. Okay, then you're finished with the knife. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you want to stabilize your two pieces of foam together. And for that, I used skewers, bamboo skewers. You can use the long floral picks, anything that'll hold the two pieces of foam together. It's really not a big deal. So I just stuck a skewer on that side and a skewer on this side, and then I'm going to put it on the table, make it flat, and then I just kind of stuck them together. Oh, let's see now. And you'll have, like if it's not exactly together, that one's together pretty good, but don't worry about it because you're going to have moss and stuff all over it. It's really not going to show. I'm just going to take a little snipper and snip that off of there. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to build your leaves up around, as in this one, around the edges. And what I did is I just had extra leaves. I think they were from a hydrangea plant, and I cut off the bottoms flat. Now you could use live leaves, like a magnolia leaf, and what they do with the magnolia leaves is they kind of dry them flat a little bit for a couple of nights under a book, and then they just use the Mod Podge and paint over them, and that kind of preserves them. But I had these, so I went ahead and used these. And what I did is you just take your leaf and you kind of lay it out with a flat part, and then I just took a glue gun and I glue all around this whole piece of block. And you don't really need it at the tip like I just did, because your tip is kind of going to be sticking out a little bit. You're going to have a little shallow area for your moss to go into. Okay, so you take your next piece of leaf, you kind of overlap it, and you just go around this continual thing. Now it does take a little bit of time to do this, but not that bad. Or this centerpiece, I kind of did it like I had a picture that I was working off of trying to copy. But really you could make it for any season. You could use it for 4th of July just by putting red, white, and blue ribbon. You could use daisies instead of the roses. I mean, you could use any kind of flower you want. Really make it your own. Okay, so it's going to kind of give that effect. And don't worry if it's not completely flat, because you want it to look like somewhat natural, like a real leaf would look. I was going to try this without glue, but I felt like it was, and just use straight pins, but I felt like it was more secured with the blue. So I do one side, and then I just turn it over and move on to the next. And like I cut all the bottoms of my leaves first just to make it go a little faster. You can do that as well. I think it took about maybe 24 leaves. As you see, like I'm just kind of starting them, overlapping them so that they make a point there. That's enough overlapping. Like I said, I think this would make a cute centerpiece for either, you know, like the 4th of July, or for a wedding shower, or I mean, really Christmas table. You could use it for multiple things. And so you know how much glue you need. I took like a glue stick like this to just do that part of it. And we're still going to have to put some moss on top. Okay, so we got that portion down. Now it kind of comes the messy part, but you just get your moss. And I had this. It could be any kind of moss. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you like. Sometimes it comes in different colors, a little bit of a color variation. I had this, so. Before I do that, I want to place my can of Votives. And I got these Votives from Hobby Lobby. They came in a box of 12, and I think they were $8 for a box of 12. It was actually cheaper than going to the dollar store and paying $1 each for them. So I place them on top of the foam, and I kind of, you know, eyeball it. I don't do any measuring or anything, just because I'm lazy, but I just kind of eyeball it and see where I want my Votives to go. And then I turn them upside down, and I kind of make a little impression. Okay, the next thing I do is, well, I don't see it. I take a kitchen spoon and I dig out. I mean, it doesn't have to be a kitchen spoon. It can be like a little knife or something. And I just dig out a little bit of the center all around it so that your votive kind of sits down tight in it. I'm doing it with a scissors edge right now. A kitchen spoon is we have a kitchen spoon. It's a little bit easier because you just kind of peel away the edges. And I don't make the hole real deep, because you're going to have moss and stuff on top, and I don't want your candles to be buried. The one thing, these are real candles, and I would suggest that you be really cautious with those because the flowers kind of go above it and they are plastic. So you might want to just buy the little battery ones and they would work fine also. Okay, I'm going to dig out these 3 little holes. Or if you don't do that, just make sure your flowers don't go, if you use a real candle, make sure your flowers don't hang over the edge of the candle where they can light on fire. Okay. And like, you know, you can also, you know, kind of mash these down in there, makes it nice and flat. Really, you can use anything you want to inspire you. Pictures from a magazine. I look at Facebook a lot and just, you know, look at your picture, kind of break it down to see what components in it is in, and then copy it. And you know, sometimes it doesn't look exactly alike, but that's okay. You're making it your own. Okay, so I have these 3, and I glued them down, and I think that I could pull them off if I wanted to. And the only reason I glue them down is for stability. You could just set them in there once you have it on your table. The only thing about, you know, gluing them down is they're a little harder to take out. If you just set them in there, then when the candles are burnt down, you can change them out easier. So now you have your candles. Kind of make sure they're not, you know, turned over or anything. And then I take my moss and I just kind of spread it out. Sometimes I put the glue on the moss, and sometimes I just put it right there on the foam. But I just, you know, stick it in there, kind of shape it to your area that you're gluing down to. It doesn't really take a whole lot of moss. And really the moss is just to cover the foam, because you're going to add flowers and stuff on top of that. Or if you know, if you're kind of a woodsy type of person and you just like the moss, you could leave it at that. I kind of like the woodsy look. Be cautious when you're putting the glue directly on the moss because that glue gets really hot. Take a layer of skin off. So you can kind of see what I'm doing there. You kind of lift your leaves up so that they make a little border for your moss. You can kind of turn your tray when you're doing the other side so you can see what you're doing. And really the moss doesn't take a lot of glue because again you're going to have flowers and some greeneries on top that's going to anchor it down. I was thinking that this would really be kind of cute for the 4th of July by using the colors on the floor. Like you can just like go around, and if you see any foam that you know missed it, just take a little bit of moss and fill it in. Okay, for today's purposes, I think to show you, we'll go ahead and move forward. All right, so just kind of mash your moss down. Okay, and then the next thing you're going to do is your greenery. And what I did was I just bought a little sprig of greenery. Here's like this, and I just used, you know, by clipping it off. And I left it on here just to show you it really was like a little bush. And I think this little bush was $7.99, but I got it for $4 on their 50% off at Hobby Lobby. So, but they have these at Michael's, Joann's. I mean, you know, you can use whatever you want. I just think it needs to be kind of little leaf. Okay, and oh, don't want to cut. Okay, so what I did was I just went around and just kind of stuck those in. You could anchor them down by gluing them in. I did not do that. I think they'll stay just fine. They come out, you just stick them back in. And I wanted some of them to lay down, and so I did get some floral pins, and these floral pins are just like U-shaped little pins like that, and you just kind of, you know, stick them in there so that the green lays down. You can have some sticking up, some sticking down a little bit, doesn't matter. And you know, as far as the greenery goes, it's your world. You can put as much or as little as you like. Again, there's just one way to do this. Make it your own. Okay. I stole that line from our resident acrylic artist. She always says, make it your world. Okay. You have to like leave kind of a little bit of a stem on there. Otherwise, the leaves that are coming off of it will prevent you from sticking into the foam. And I could have prepared all this. I guess I should have, but I did want to show you that, you know, how I got this greenery, and it's much cheaper to buy a little bush as opposed to buying each, you know, like the little individual picks, they call them, which usually are like 99 cents a piece. So as you can see, I'm putting quite a bit of this in here. It could add up pretty quickly, although the picks are usually a little bit larger. Okay, so again, I'm using my pins if I want to lay, you know, some down just to get that look of coverage that I'm going after. All right, the next step will be to add some of our or baby's breath. Okay, and I bought these from Hobby Lobby, and what I did is I just took a flower and took it off, and that's, I say my leaves sometimes because I might do something, not all of them, but a few, something for next project. Okay, so what I did is I just, bunched these little white flowers that were originally one big flower, and I just kind of put them in the same spot to make them look like little bunches. Now you could wire these together with a little floral pick, which might be easier to do than this way. I did not this time. Sometimes your foam gets in the way, I mean not the foam but the moss, and you just need to kind of move it with your finger. Like kind of dig down there, that way you have something to stick your little flowers into. And these little flowers, I just put them here and there on your little arrangement. So we've got all these little white flowers placed. You can always, if you have extras, you can add a few more. But the next thing we're going to do is take some baby's breath. And again, I just got a bush of baby's breath, and I'm cutting off the single little twigs. Sometimes, you put one is not enough, so you might bunch up 2 or 3 together. And like just kind of fill them in. And I also put some roses, so I'm going to place those because they're a little bit bigger, so you'll know where you need to fill in with your other flowers. And I kind of put them at an angle because they are a little bit big, so I kind of slant them. They had a little bit of baby's breath on them, so I just kind of left them there on it. Okay, and well, I had one. I'm going to take the one from here for now, and I'm just going to put that there. Okay, so now you kind of have those arranged, and you just keep on snipping your little bunches of baby's breath. You could probably use the dried baby's breath also, which would look really pretty. I didn't see any of that there, so I went with this. And make sure you have enough on your little edges. You know why I have tough foam today. Okay, I just put those two together. seem like with this, some of it was like a little bit more white towards the center. And like there are other little like white ruffled flowers or, you know, whatever color you want. You don't have to use baby's breath, just something with a tiny blossom. You can see that on this side where I put more of the baby's breath, it's starting to fill in. Okay, so I may go back and fill it a little more, but I think next thing I'm going to do is just show you how to put the ribbon on this side. So I'll stop that for now. Okay, so now we're at this point in the project. We have our leaves, we have our moss, we have our little candles inserted, we have all the greenery and all the baby's breath. So, you know, you can do this to your liking. You can fill in as much as you want or as little as you want. You can use daisies or, you know, lilies of the valley. I mean, it really doesn't matter, whatever you like. So to finish it off, what I do, and again, this is ribbon I had, but you just take your ribbon and you kind of measure it, cut a strip. Okay, and then what I do is like I will pin it. I'll glue it later, but right now I'm just going to pin it. This one I use a lighter blue ribbon than I had, so see, it doesn't really matter. And I just take a little pin. You do need to get some of these little pearl straight pins. They're just a straight pin with a little pearl edge. Okay, and then as you can see, that doesn't really show up so much. So I will take a second ribbon and put it on top of that. And again, I'll temporarily pin it, you know, so I can kind of see where I want it at. And I'm going to take it around. Give it a pin on this edge just to kind of stabilize it for the moment. And I just want to make sure that everything looks pretty even. Okay. All right, the next thing you want to do is I take these little white flowers and I stick the pin through them. And these were actually this. I just cut them off. So you don't have to buy a bunch of little white flowers. However, you could. You could also use a hole punch to, like, you know, like they have floral punches and stuff. You could use something like that. So use your imagination. A lot of things would work. So I just put the center of the pin through the flower. And you can see that that's there. You kind of start in the middle and go out. Eyeball it. And again, I don't know why I keep on saying this, but you know, I think it'd really be cute for like 4th of July with a couple little tiny flags sticking out of it, or, you know, if you're having it at your house. Hopefully we'll all get to have it this year. With hopefully COVID is on its way out. And again, these are just pinned on, so you can change them out if you want to. So you don't have to. And if you want to, you could glue these in if you don't want to remove them later. Once I get these flowers on, I'm just going to glue the loose edges. I put 2 on the end too. Just finish it off a little bit more. I mean, you can glue it down for a little stability, but it looks like you could just do it with the pins actually. I'm going to put a little glue. I'll just show you on that edge. I glued it down. And then I'm going to add 2 more flowers just to make it consistent all the way around. And there you have it. That's my tray, which was really originally a sign. I made it into a tray. You can paint it white, you can paint it navy, you can paint it, if you have pink flowers, paint it pink and use a pink ribbon, whatever your little heart desires. And there you go. Your centerpiece. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and watch for more tutorials here on YouTube. Thanks for watching.